Imagine waking up one morning and checking your bank account and finding that millions of pesos have been deposited. And you haven't done a single thing to earn it yet. No meetings attended. No work submitted. No product delivered. Just the simple fact that you showed up. That you earned the right to be there. That you proved yourself worthy of a seat at a table that others only ever dream about. That is the reality Ella is living right now. And if you're not paying attention to what's happening at Wimbledon this week, you are genuinely missing one of the most remarkable stories in the entire history of Philippine sport. We're talking about a 21-year-old girl from Quezon City who has already pocketed the equivalent of over 7 million pesos before stepping onto one of the most famous tennis courts on the planet. Not as a prize, not as a bonus, as a guarantee, a mathematical certainty. A number that was locked in the moment her name appeared in the draw. And the reason that number exists, the reason it's sitting there waiting for her, is because Ella just did something that no Filipino has ever done in 148 years of tennis history. Think about that number for a second. 148 years. Tennis as a formal sport has existed since 1877. The Philippines has produced world-class athletes across boxing, basketball, weightlifting, and billiards. But in all that time, across all those decades, across every era of the sport, from the very first wooden rackets to the modern power baseline game, not a single Filipino had ever been seated at Wimbledon. Until now. Until her. Until this 21-year-old, who just a few weeks ago was ranked 35th in the world and considered a promising young talent with potential. Today she is the number 29 seed at the most prestigious grass court tournament on earth. Guaranteed £89,000 before the first toss of the coin, before the first serve, before the first baseline rally of what could be the most important match of her young career. Chapter 1. The road that got her here. To understand where Alex is standing right now, you have to understand the road she took to get here. And it wasn't a straight line. It never is. Earlier this June, Ella arrived in Birmingham with something to prove. She entered the WTA 125 Lexus Birmingham Open, and what followed was not just a performance. It was a statement. She battled through the draw, pushed through moments of adversity, and when she found herself facing Czech player Nikola Bartonkova in the final, she refused to fold when the match turned against her. Down a set, most players start calculating their travel plans. Ella started calculating her comeback. She clawed back and won 5-7, 6-3, 7-5, claiming her first ever grass court title, her second WTA 125 crown, and the kind of victory that tells you everything you need to know about a player's mentality. Grass is the most unforgiving surface in tennis. The ball skids. The bounces deceive you. The margins are razor thin. And Ella didn't just adapt to it. She dominated. And it was only the beginning. From Birmingham, the tour moved to Berlin. Ella followed the grass, entering the WTA 500 Berlin Tennis Open not as a favorite, not as a seeded player, but as a wild card. Someone given an invitation out of respect for her potential rather than expectation of results. The tennis world was politely interested. By the time she was done, it was stunned. In the round of 16, she handled Donna Vekic, a seasoned veteran and former top 20 player who knows exactly what it takes to compete at the highest level. That win was impressive. What came next was historic. Elena Rybakina, reigning 2022 Wimbledon champion, ranked number 2 in the world, walked onto the court expecting to dismantle a young wild card from the Philippines. She didn't. Ella played the kind of tennis that silences crowds and forces commentators to stop mid-sentence and reconsider everything they thought they knew about the player on the other side of the net. She won. Cold. Composed. Completely unflinching. And then, as if the tennis gods wanted to make absolutely sure this wasn't a fluke, she turned around and beat world number 8 Elena Ostapenko in the very next match. 2 top 10 victories. In the same tournament. 2 of the most dangerous players in women's tennis, handled back-to-back by a 21-year-old from Quezon City who had come to Berlin as an afterthought. She went out in the semi-finals. But by that point, it didn't matter. The numbers told the story. 9 wins in her last 12 grass court matches. A 9-3 record on the surface entering Wimbledon. a ranking that jumped from 35 all the way to 30 on the back of that extraordinary run. When the Wimbledon seedings were being calculated, Ella was already firmly in the picture. And then fate, or more specifically injury, gave her one final push. Victoria Mboko, the Canadian world number 9, withdrew from Wimbledon with a knee problem. The provisional draw shifted. Players moved. Seeds were reassigned. And when the dust settled, Alex Ella was sitting at number 29, making history without even knowing it, receiving the first Wimbledon seeding ever given to a Filipino player in the tournament's entire existence. Social media in the Philippines didn't slowly process that news. It exploded. Chapter 2. What the seeding actually means 7 million pesos guaranteed before a single point. The reactions ranged from pure joy to absolute disbelief. Fans who had followed Ella since her junior days, who had watched her grind through qualifiers and ITF tournaments and the long early stages of a professional career that demands everything from you before it gives anything back, were suddenly watching her arrive at the biggest grass court event in the world as one of its seeded players. But let's talk about what that seeding actually means. Because it's not just symbolic. And it's not just financial. In the world of Grand Slam tennis, seeds matter enormously, in ways that go far beyond prestige. As the number 29 seed, Ella is protected from drawing any of the top 32 players in the first 2 rounds. No Iga Swiatek in round 1. No Aryna Sabalenka. No Rybakina, whom she already beat, but still. The draw is constructed in a way that gives seeded players the chance to build into a tournament, to find their rhythm, to shake off early nerves before the biggest tests arrive. For a player like Ella, still relatively young in Grand Slam terms, still building her experience at this level, that protection is enormous. It could be the difference between a first-round exit and a deep run that changes everything. Her first-round opponent is Mexico's Renata Zarazua, currently ranked 76 in the world. And there's a backstory here that makes this match even more compelling. These two have met before. Back in 2024 at an ITF W100 event in Cary, North Carolina, Zarazua beat Ella after coming back from a set down, winning 3-6, 6-4, 6-3 in what was described as one of the harder losses of that stretch of Ella's career. Now they meet again, but the context is completely different. Ella comes in as the seeded player. On the surface, where she has been the most dangerous player in women's tennis over the past month. The grass suits her game, the speed, the low bounce, the premium on clean ball striking and aggressive decision-making. Everything about this surface plays directly to her strengths. And while Zarazua is no pushover, the momentum, the form, and the grass court familiarity all point firmly in one direction. Beyond the singles draw, Ella will also be competing in doubles, alongside Nikola Bardankova, the same Czech player she defeated in the Birmingham final just weeks ago. There's something genuinely poetic about that. The woman she beat for a grass court title becoming her partner at the tournament that matters most. Their first-round opponents in doubles are formidable. Elena Ostapenko of Latvia and Sofia Kenin of the United States. Two former Grand Slam champions with serious doubles experience. Ostapenko has a Grand Slam singles title to her name. Kenin reached the Wimbledon doubles quarterfinals just last year. It's a tough draw. But it's also exactly the kind of challenge that reveals who a player really is when the stakes are at their highest. And what we have learned about Alex Ella over the past 6 weeks is that she is at her most dangerous precisely when the stakes are highest. Chapter 3. The number one more time. Now, let's go back to that number. Because it deserves one more moment of attention. £89,000. Before Wimbledon even begins. Before she steps out to warm up on one of those immaculate grass courts that the All England club tends with a kind of obsessive care that borders on religious devotion. Before she bounces a ball or adjusts her grip or exchanges a glance with her coach. Before any of it. It's there. It's hers. The 2026 Wimbledon Championships have set the total prize pool at a record-breaking £64. $2 million, up 20% from the previous year. First-round losers in the singles draw will take home £80,000 each, itself a 21% increase from last year. Add the doubles round of 64 appearance money of £9,000 and you arrive at £89,000, which converts to somewhere north of 2 million Philippine pesos. To put that in perspective, Ella had earned approximately £876,000 in total career prize money before this season began. That's her entire professional career. Every tournament, every match, every flight and hotel room and early morning practice session compressed into a single number. And now, in a single tournament appearance, she is guaranteed to collect the equivalent of roughly 10% of her entire previous career earnings. In one tournament, at one venue, guaranteed, regardless of what happens next. Chapter 4, Beyond Tennis, and here's where the story goes beyond tennis. Beyond prize money, beyond rankings and seeds and draws, and all the technical machinery of professional sport. Here's where it becomes something else entirely. The Philippines has a complicated relationship with global sporting success. The country has produced extraordinary individual athletes. Manny Pacquiao being the most famous, a fighter who didn't just win titles, but redefined what was possible for a Filipino on the world stage. Basketball runs deep in the national identity. Boxing has given the country some of its proudest moments. But tennis at the Grand Slam level had always been a wall that no Filipino had ever climbed. Not for lack of talent, not for lack of passion. The sport requires resources, infrastructure, and access to elite training from a very young age, things that simply aren't available to most players from developing tennis nations. Alex got there through a combination of extraordinary natural talent and early access to the Rafael Nadal Academy in Spain, one of the most respected tennis development programs in the world. She spent her formative years there, sharpening the technical foundation and competitive mindset that would eventually put her in position to beat the world number 2 in Berlin and walk into Wimbledon as a seeded player. What she's doing right now isn't just a personal achievement. It's a door being pushed open for every Filipino kid who ever picked up a racket and wondered if there was a path forward at the highest level. Because now there's proof. Concrete, undeniable, pound sterling proof that a Filipino can compete with the best in the world at the sport's most prestigious venues. Chapter 5. The phenomenon Ella has created has been described by people inside the WTA as genuinely surprising, in the best possible way. Wherever she plays, Filipino fans show up. At Indian Wells, entire sections of the stands were filled with Philippine flags. In Dubai, her matches drew crowds that behaved more like football supporters than typical tennis audiences. In Rome, the flags were waving at practice sessions, fans turning up just to watch her hit balls. For a sport that has struggled in some markets to build the kind of passionate local connection that makes events feel like events rather than athletic competitions, what Ella brings is remarkable. She has become a genuine box office draw. And she is 21 years old. The WTA understands what it has in her. And so does Wimbledon. When she walks onto that court, the atmosphere will be unlike anything a Filipino tennis player has ever experienced at this tournament. Her match against Zarazua will be watched through the night in the Philippines, fans gathered around screens, following every single point with a kind of intensity usually reserved for a boxing world title fight or a basketball gold medal game. And if she wins, if she gets through to the second round, the entire bracket opens up before her. She has already proven she can beat players ranked 2nd and 8th in the world on this exact surface in this exact month. The question of whether she can go deep at Wimbledon is no longer rhetorical. It's genuinely open. She belongs here. The seeding confirms it. The form confirms it. The results confirm it. Closing. The history already written and that £89,000 guarantee sitting in her account before she's hit a single competitive ball at the All England Club confirms something else entirely. It confirms that the tennis world has officially recognized what the Philippines knew long before any ranking system caught up. Ella is not a story about potential anymore. She is the story. She is the headline. She is the number sitting in the draw beside the name of the first Filipino ever seated at Wimbledon. And whether she wins tomorrow or loses, whether she goes out in the first round or makes a run that reshapes everything we thought we knew about Philippine tennis, the history is already written. The guarantee is already banked. The record is already set. When she walks out there, when the cameras find her face and the crowd settles and the umpire calls for quiet and Renata Zarazua bounces the ball at the baseline and the match is finally about to begin, remember that the result is almost secondary. What has already happened is already extraordinary. A 21-year-old from the Philippines changed the record books without playing a single point. And somewhere in Quezon City, in a country that has waited 148 years for this moment, they're watching. And they're proud. If this story moved you even slightly, hit that like button and subscribe to Tennis Unfiltered right now. We are covering every chapter of Alex Ella's Wimbledon journey as it unfolds. Turn on your notifications. History is being written in real time, and you are not going to want to miss a single moment of it.